Good evening, everybody. My name is Mike. This is Narco Cop MMA. This is episode number 3 of the Lambo Plays podcast. I have 3 great guests this week. Unbelievable guys, great MMA cappers. Really quick, last week we did well again. For the second week, we hit a plus 1,400 play. Liam gave you a plus 1,000 play. I mean, it's been crazy the last 2 weeks with all these, big plus money bets coming through. So without further ado, though, this is UFC Vegas 41, Vettori versus Costa at 205 now. But without further ado, let me bring in my first guest here. It is Clint from Die Hard MMA. What's up, Clint?
Narco, what's up, buddy? Doing good, man. Ready for some morning fights. We're breaking this bad boy down. We're going to sleep, and then we're going to be right up watching the fights first thing in the morning. So quick turnaround for us this week.
Awesome. I'm glad I'm having you on this pod. I think this is the first time we've done one together, but it's great having you. Probably many more in the future. Let me bring in my second guest here. Everybody knows this guy. He's been on my stream. He's been on my stream lately. It is the GOAT, Tajik Bey. What's up, Tajik?
Not much, Clint, Mike. Great to be back on the show. Hey, hello, everybody in the chat. And yeah, before we proceed, I want to make a quick statement because there has been some rumors that myself and George Masvidal are related. This is a fake news. We're not related. So just wanted to put it out there and make it go on the record with this.
So you're clearing the air that you're not related to Jorge Masvidal. That's good. That's good.
Yes.
Awesome having you, bro. So the third man here is my buddy James, Lucrative MMA. What is up, James?
What is up, Narco? What is up, fellas? Happy to be here. I can't wait to drive this new Lambo on Monday, man. So hopefully we can dig up some good bets, and then not only me, not only you three guys, but everybody watching is also going to be scurrying around town in a Lambo.
Awesome. Glad to have you on. Our boy here, Tajik Bey, though, he's looking for a yacht, though. He doesn't want a Lambo. The guy is shooting for a yacht.
So, yeah, I made a suggestion to rename the show, but it's okay. We'll see what we can get here today.
Awesome. I just want to say thank you to everybody in chat. We got 20 people on there so far. Thank you very much to each and every one of you. With that being said, it's a 14-fight card. We want to get right to it. I just want to put out a rule real quick. Everybody knows with this show, you have to pick a plus 300 play or better. There isn't any sneaking out of it. If you don't have a play, I can understand that. Some of these cards here, you can't even find a plus 300. But for the most part, we will give you a plus 300 or better. And without further ado, let me start out with the first fight of the card. It is Jonathan Martinez against the newcomer Zavad Lavazishvili. We will start it off with Clint. What do you got for us here, Clint?
So the first fight of the night, man, this is going to be one that honestly, you mentioned not all of the fights even have a plus 300 play on them. So this one's going to be tough to find the Lambo play, if I'm being honest. I ended up taking this as kind of a buy low spot. I'm kind of fading the market here. I feel like you get an undefeated Georgian warrior, and it's the opportunity to buy him at a minus 110 price tag. So that's kind of the side that I'm looking at. But if you really want to find that Lambo play, I think you kind of got to go Martinez by KO. Like, that's what everybody's thinking. He keeps the fight standing, defends these takedowns, and then just pieces the guy up on the feet. That's the only big plus money spot that I can really see here, because Lavashvili, I'm not expecting him to finish Martinez. He's more of a grinder grappler, and him by decision is not going to be plus 300 for you. So that's about the only way you could look on this one to me.
Awesome. Nice analysis. James, what do you got for us here? You got a Lambo play for us here?
Yeah, as Clint said, there's not too many Lambos to be purchased on this fight, but I have found one. Look, I was even going to go with Martinez via KO, like Clint said. Or I was going to go with Lazishvili via submission, right? That's the way I see the fight going. At the end of the day, we've seen Lazishvili take his opponents down, throughout his whole career and try and go for submission attempts. He got that submission over Ricky Steele, I believe it was in his last fight. He put Josh Huber, I believe his name was, his fight previous to that. He put him in some precarious spots on the mat, kind of went more for the ground and pound there. But I think he can wrap up a submission at some point if the fight goes to the ground. So, at the moment it's sitting at it's sitting at plus 320, plus 315, plus 360. Worst price plus 275, but around that plus 300 range. So we'll take the Georgian via submission here.
Awesome. So we got a different look there. How about you, Mr. Tajik Bey?
Yeah, Dan Goldstein is feeling froggy. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm feeling giddy too about this card. I went back and forth, trying to figure out, who do I pick? It's a very close fight. I think Zviat is actually is a rightful favorite here, and he should take this one. I don't think he submits. I don't think he submits Martinez. In my opinion, he's not very proactive wrestler. That's what we should remember. His grappling is up there. He's very methodical. About the way he approaches the fight, the way he approaches the ground game. If it happens, submission is going to be very late, but I doubt it because Martinez, we talked about it before. I don't think he has ever been submitted. He's BJJ. Defensive BJJ is pretty solid. And so I'm gonna go with Zviat by decision. I'm not sure what the prop is on that, and if you can buy a Lambo, but
So before I go on with my play, freaking Clint's background is fucking amazing. He's already sitting in the Lambo, guys.
I had to get in the seat, man. Let's go.
That is amazing. I love it. I freaking love
the Lambo.
It's that Parsons bet he picked up,
That is freaking awesome. So, I'm kind of on the Clint side, but I want to get a little froggy here. And by that, I mean Martinez round 3 KO at plus 2,000. Going back and watching Zavad against Josh Huber, he kind of got tired in that third round. He got touched up in that third round. You saw Huber coming forward more in that third round. And, taking this on short notice for a guy that's going to grapple heavy. And, if Martinez is to be stuffing those takedowns and, making this guy work come third round. And we know Martinez's striking is better here by far. Martinez does have power. Martinez does have a really nice kicking game. Martinez round 3 plus 2,000 by KO. That's where I'm going here. I just feel like the short notice might hurt Zavad in this spot. So yeah, Martinez round 3 KO plus 2,000 is my official Lambo play. But we'll move on. Fight number 2, Livana Souza going up against the veteran in Ronda Marcos. Will kick this one to James. What do you got here, buddy?
Bro, I've got nothing here, man. I have to be completely honest. Like, there's no Lambos to be bought in this fight. There's 13 other fights that we can try and buy a Lamborghini on. So this is not one of them. Souza by submission plus 600.
Awesome. Tajik, what do you got there?
No Lambo here either for me. Maybe a toy Lambo, but I like Lavinia by submission. By decision. I don't like her by submission. Okay. I don't think. Yeah.
Move it over to Clint. What do you got, Mr. Lambo, man? You're already sitting in your Lambo, so give us something.
Man, Lucrative sniped it right at the end there. I thought he was going to get out of there with, no play and leave it for me. But Souza by sub is really the only one that I could see here, man. We have seen Randa Marcos have some seriously questionable fight IQ in these fights before. We have seen her jump straight into the guard of dangerous submission artists when she didn't need to. And, I think that we're kind of underestimating Souza in this spot. She's coming off of taking on the biggest prospect in the division, the future champion of the division. Like, people couldn't be lower on Souza right now. People forget how dang good she was before that. And Randa Marcos, well, she kind of is what she is, and if the going gets tough, or if she slips up and decides to fall on her back, which we've seen her do in a lot of fights where she just kind of falls over. Souza's got that judo. Souza's got that jiu-jitsu. I feel like we could see an arm get snapped off, and Souza by sub is probably the best shot if you're going to get a Lambo in this fight.
Yeah, you know what? I'm right there with you guys. Like, that's the only thing that I could find at plus 600, plus 650 range with the Souza sub. The thing with Souza, I just want to say that, last time out, you got, completely dominated, but Lemos, but I mean, that fight is kind of not fair. But what I will say about Marcos is when you go back and look throughout her career, yeah, she's, she has a losing record in the UFC and losing record overall, but the girl has honestly fought good fighters, lost to really good fighters. I will give her that. She is very durable for the most part. Mackenzie Dern subbing her. I believe Courtney Casey subbed her. But for the most part, this girl is very durable, takes a lot of punishment. The one thing with Souza that I really don't like is the girl doesn't move her head. She gets hit a lot. She kind of, to me, gives me this flimsy look. Like when she gets grappled, fought, like she doesn't look really good, or she's not as strong, I should say, because I think Marcos will have that strength advantage in this fight if it's in the clinch and stuff like that. But yeah, there's nothing on the Marcos side that I like as far as the Lambo play. And if I was to say something, it's that Marcos fight IQ that's not very good. So if she is to get a takedown and get top time, Souza does have good arm bars. So, getting an arm bar there is possible. With that being said, we will move on to a more interesting fight. We have fight number 3, Jeff Molina going up against Daniel De Silva. We will kick this one off to the GOAT, Tajik. What do you got here?
Yeah, I think the official prediction will be that Molina by decision. But since we're trying to go for that Lambo, I'm going to go with Molina wins by TKO at plus 1,700.
I like it. What do you got for us, Clint?
Well, I am in agreement with the GOAT here, Tajik. I do like Molina, and I do like Molina by KO. I've actually played that one myself. But I'm going to go ahead and take it one step further. I'm going to say that you sprinkle that round 3 Molina 12-1, baby. That's where, he's going to survive the first round of this kid's offense, start to take over in the second, and then when this kid sees the third round for the first time in his MMA career, that's when Molina gets going. That's when he steps on the gas, and then he's going to break this kid, welcome him rudely to the UFC. I'm going to cash that plus 450 by knockout and the 12-1 in the third round when he knocks this kid out.
I freaking love it. Guess what? I'm going to take it a little step further than you are, Clint. I am going with Molina third round TKO at plus 2,300. It's on FanDuel. And my reasoning is this kid here, De Silva, has never been out of the second round. The other main reason is Molina puts on a hellacious pace, man. This guy is constantly throwing. We saw that in the Aori fight. This guy does not stop. And if you stop, he's not going to stop. So you have to keep throwing. You have to keep doing what you have to do, which in turn puts your gas tank in a bind. And his gas tank is not going to be there come the third round. If the fight is to get to the third round, I think he's going to be in deep trouble. And that's where I see the finish from Molina. Plus 2,400. And I will say one more thing. I don't mind taking a shot on round 2 KO for Molina at plus 1,700, which is not a bad look at all. What do you got for us, James?
Yeah, so first of all, just clarify, these are Lambo plays. These are not our official picks.
Sure.
And so I have a couple. On most fights, I have a couple, right? A couple ways that the fight could pan out when you're talking about them big numbers. Round 3, Molina was also one of my ones, right? But seeing as you guys said it, and seeing as Tajik also called Molina to win, I'm going to go on the other side. I'm going to say Lacerda comes out here and gets the KO. You keep talking about he's never seen the third round. Why hasn't he seen the third round? He gets everyone out there in the first round. Plus 700 to get Molina out there in the first round. I'll take a shot on it. Small stab. The Brazilian kid comes out there, throws everything, the kitchen sink at all of his opponents. I don't think it's going to be any different in the UFC. He's going to take him out in the first round, maybe. And 7-1 is a good price. So we'll go with that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's where I see him probably having his most success, right? In that first round, since the guy just goes, if you watch some of his tape, and there's not a lot of tape out there on this guy, but he actually goes crazy in that first, trying to get his guys out of there. So yeah, I'm in agreement with basically all of us are in agreement in one way, shape, or form on this fight. We will move on. Fight number 4. It is Kama Worthy going up against Ja Herbert. I actually have this fight is obviously going to be a banger. I have an actual bet of fight doesn't start round 3, but if I'm to look for one play here, it would probably be Herbert by KO in round 1 at plus 300. That's the only thing that I could find. I know Worthy is very, very chinny. He's been knocked out in all of his fights. Herbert himself does not have the best chin himself. But to me, I think he's the more durable guy. I think he's the much cleaner striker here. He's going to be the much faster guy. So, and one more note, I want to put this out there. When they win at face-offs, man, Herbert looked much bigger than this guy. So I don't know if you guys paid attention to that, but he looked much, much bigger than Worthy was, and I was kind of surprised. So yeah, that even gave me more confidence in the play. Herbert, round 1 KO, and you can go back and look. Most of his fights do end by KO in the first round. What do you got for us, Clint?
This one's a tough one, guys. I've been going back and forth on this fight basically all week. I've got a weakness for Kama Worthy. I've got an attachment to the guy. I cashed in big on his UFC debut, and I've been looking to back him ever since, and he's just kind of let me down a couple times. So I automatically kind of drift over to his side. I like his power. I like his ability to end a fight pretty much any time. But I think he's probably nearing the end of the road, if we're being honest. I think Herbert is a much better prospect, the height advantage, the reach advantage. I think Herbert is actually going to be the winner here. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to see two guys coming in, slowing the pace down because they both absolutely need a win. They're going to respect each other's power, and we're going to get kind of a more technical striking match. And then I think it ramps up late. I'm going to say Herbert wins in round 3, and I believe that is 10-1. He'll finally end up clipping Kama when he realizes he needs to step a bit on that gas pedal, and both guys kind of got to go for broke to finish the fight off strong and get the win.
I actually like it. Tajik, what do you have for us in this violent fight?
Yeah, I think it will be. They're both they're both on a losing skid right now, and they have to be very careful and cautious. And I think they will be. With Kama Worthy, his chin is always a liability. We don't know which how his chin shows up on the fight. Somebody in the chat, actually, we spoke earlier on Twitter, told me that he got KO'd in a pillow fight. It's not on his official record. But at the same time, if you look at that, with Kama Worthy, it's problematic. So if he is, technically, I think he can put up a good fight to Herbert. I don't understand why Herbert is such a big favorite. My pick for this fight will be Kama Worthy by decision, and I'm not sure what the prop is for that, but it should be pretty high.
Awesome, James. Give us something here. Give us something, James.
Yeah, I understand the takes, from Tajik and Diehard saying it could be more of a technical striking affair because both fighters have a lot to lose, right? They're both coming off 2 fight loss streaks. They're both coming off 2 fight loss streaks where they've been finished in both their fights, and pretty brutal finishes in all 4 of the fights. You know, Herbert's coming off that Francisco Trinaldo crazy KO where Dan Hardy screamed at Herb Dean. You know, we all remember that one. And then obviously he got dominated on the ground by Renato Moicano. It was quite brutal, the finish there. And on the Worthy side, Malarkey 1-punch KO, and the knockout before that, I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was another KO within the first minute, right? The first 60 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah, so they're both going to probably be a little bit tentative. But at the end of the day, the way Jai Herbert fights, I don't think he can be tentative for too long. I think, you know, even after 2-3 minutes, he's just going to start landing that jab, start coming forward. And I'm guessing he probably gets the KO in round 1. But look, he is open to be hit as well. He potentially might not have the best chin out there. I don't think he's got a terrible chin, but I do think that Worthy hits hard. We've seen Worthy get knockouts before in the UFC. So I was going to go with Herbert in round 1, but it's like plus 250. By KO in round 1, didn't even think of that because I don't have access to the book that does that. But I guess I go with that. But, you know, to shake it up a little bit, give people something else to bet on. Worthy in round 1 is like plus 500, plus 600. I think this fight probably ends in round 1, to be honest. So even fight ends in round 1. I don't know what price that is. Again, I don't have access to them books that offer them specific props, but fight ends in round 1, Worthy in round 1, Herbert in round 1, something in round 1. Bet that, and it might not be a bad bet.
I'm seeing fight ends round 1 at plus 600.
You have plus 600?
I'm just using best fight odds.
Yeah, no, I'm seeing fight ends in round 1. I'm seeing at plus 150.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, plus 225. I scrolled up.
Yeah, it's a lower line.
No, not fight ends in round 1. Don't know why I said that, because obviously Herbert in round 1 is plus 300. So I mean, it's not going to be better than that. So I misspoke there. But yeah, anything to do with round 1, go and bet on it, right? If it's over plus 300, Worthy, Herbert KO, Worthy KO, whatever.
I can't agree more. I just think the way Herbert comes forward, the way he's gonna. I mean, some people were talking about how Kama Worthy might grapple here and he might have success grappling, but the guy does not grapple, guys. The guy has not shot any takedowns in the UFC so far. You know, go back and look. He's got 0 takedown attempts in the UFC. I don't think this guy is gonna grapple whatsoever. He's a striker. He's a striker at heart. And, you know, you got 2 guys that are going to strike here, and one of them is probably going to crumble. But yeah, I mean, we're mostly all in agreement as far as how this fight is probably going to play out. Moving on, we will move on to the main event of the card. It's Loreno Staropoli against Jamie Pickett. Go ahead, Clint. It's kicked off to you because you have to tell us about this main event.
Hey, I got hot takes on this one, guys. Like Lucrative MMA said, that these Lambo plays, they're not necessarily our official picks. We're trying to find big, fat value spots that have a chance of coming through. And this is an actual bet for me. I think that Jamie Pickett is being severely disrespected by the betting market in this spot. I think this is another spot similar to the Lavinia Souza fight where he is being counted out based on his past couple of performances. He's a guy that gets shut down when he gets a little bit scared of the power or the aggression of the fighter coming across the cage from him, and that's not going to happen here. He's fighting a guy in Staropoli who basically takes one to give one, who does not have brutal, vicious knockout power. He doesn't finish people in the UFC, and he's going to have a severe size and strength advantage here in this spot. Jamie Pickett has all of the intangible advantages here, and he's not going to have to deal with a guy that's going to make him afraid to pull the trigger, and that's really been his big issue. When Jamie Pickett does pull the trigger, he hurts people. Jamie Pickett by knockout, plus 700.
Awesome. I love it. Tajik, what do you got for us here?
Yeah, I spoke with somebody who trained with Pickett over at Twitter. You know, and my impression was actually that he, just in general, he hasn't been able, for whatever reason, show his true self. I think he's capable. You know, and it's tough. I think he can bounce back, in this win, and take this one. It's gonna be a competitive fight. I don't think Staropoli's line is justified, so I'm going to take Pickett actually by decision, and it's not kind of. It's a Lambo bet, yes, because it's like plus 385. To hit. So I think that's my pick. I feel like it's going to be closely contested fight, and Pickett will take this one by decision, and it's plus 385.
Solid take.
Yeah.
Solid take. James, anything?
Yeah, there's not that much over plus 300 in this fight, to be honest, man. I can't in good faith give any fighter out via submission because, both of them don't go for any submission. So that's off the table. Then you can move to the TKO. This is what we do when you're trying to find Lambos, right? We move to the TKO. Pickett TKO, yeah. Okay, plus 700, but I'm not going to give that one out. Clint spoke about it. Staropoli TKO, it's about that plus 300 as well. Pickett's very durable. I know he got knocked out by Beverly Hills Ninja last time out, but it's the Beverly Hills Ninja, man. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to knock out the whole roster. If the fight lasts 10 seconds, he might knock out the whole roster. He comes out like a madman. So I still think he's very durable. We've seen him take quite a lot of punishment off Punahele Soriano in the Contender Series fight. He actually was coming on that third round, and then against Tafon as well. So the only way I can kind of see this is by maybe Pickett via decision at plus 375, like Tajik. So I'll go with that one.
I actually am right there with you guys. I like Pickett by decision. I think, both guys, I want to say one thing. I think both guys are very durable. Staropoli on his end is very durable. I think he's been finished once very early in his career. But the one thing I will say is Staropoli is probably more of a 170-pounder than 185. And he's fighting a pretty big man at 185. So I think the size and strength advantage here is going to definitely be on Pickett's side, like Clint said. But, the one thing that he does lack is that volume, man. He just refuses to throw sometimes. And, Pickett, if Pickett is to proactively grapple here, I think he gets Staropoli down if he wants to. And, he did show that, I believe, late in that Tafon fight, I believe he got Tafon down. So I think if he's to proactively grapple here, I think he gets him down. He's going to be the stronger guy, the bigger guy, and he's going to be able to win minutes doing that because, Staropoli is not very good down there. So, yeah, the decision prop for Pickett at plus 350 to plus 375 range would be my play. And I think I'm actually going to make it an official play because I believe this fight's going to be close one way or another. And to get a plus 350 or plus 375 ticket on a close contested fight, I would not mind whatsoever. So with that being said, we will move on. Fight number 6, Tabitha Ricci, Maria Oliveira. We will kick this one off with Tajik. Go ahead, Tajik.
Well, Tabitha by submission, I think it got shut down, right? I mean, it's like, what is it, like plus 240 right now, if not lower than that. Yeah, I have her by submission. I mean, this is almost Lambo bet. It's not a big bet, but it's not a Toyota Corolla bet either, so it should be fine.
Awesome. James, anything here?
Yeah, look, I think she probably gets the sub as well. I don't like any money line plays on her. This is going a little bit off topic, but I don't really trust the girl too much. We haven't seen a lot from her. Yeah, she's got a good background, good credentials, but we haven't really seen much from her. We've seen her get beat up by Fiorot. Yeah, she was tough in that fight. That's all she was. She was nothing else in that fight. I think she probably gets the girl down and, finishes her. But the only thing over plus 300 is the TKO. So let's just say she gets ground and pound. Look, at the end of the day, in MMA, it happens a lot, right? The fighter is potentially a submission fighter, or you think they're going to get a submission, and then they get the TKO. It happens all the time, right? I'm thinking of Vadim Nemkov versus Julius Anglicus last weekend at Bellator, right? He's on top of him, pounding away, cuts his head open, 4 rounds of brutal domination, ground and pound. And Anglicus just, he just doesn't go away. Eventually, Vadim Nemkov is able to get the tap. A lot of people probably bet Nemkov via KO there. And, they were very upset when Anglicus didn't give up. So we could be looking at that here. Maybe Ricci can't get the sub for whatever reason, and she goes for the KO. I do think she gets the sub, but it's sub 300. So we're going to go for Ricci KO at 450.
So Daz is asking for you submission guys, what round do you think she gets it done?
What's the? Yeah, I don't know. I think in the first round it's hard to see just because she would probably try to clinch, grapple a little bit, get a feel for her. I would say what is round 2 by sub, Daz?
Round 2 submission is plus 800 for.
Okay, there we go. There you're like Lambo and a half. So yeah, it's good.
So for me here, I have a little bit of a different take. I actually have an official play. It's a very small play, but I have Oliveira by KO at plus 700. And here are my reasonings. Not so much that I like Oliveira, because I really don't. She's a very like noodly type of fighter. She like really awkward. But you know what? She does throw when she steps in. She does throw with power. Against Marina Rodriguez in that fight. In the like mid part of that round, like she started coming forward, throwing hard. She beat. I don't know if you guys know, but she beat the girl Machado that just came off the Dana White Contender Series.
Crazy.
And that girl Machado is a good striker. We saw her. She's not like we can say she's beaten low level fighters, but that girl's not low level. That's not what I would consider low level. So she beat her. So if she beat her, I would imagine there's some type of striking that she does have, because on tape she doesn't look great, I will admit. But I also will admit that Ricci, for me, on the feet does not look good at all either. She's fought a very, very low level of competition outside of Ferro. I'm not even going to count that. But, you go and look at her wins, she's beating girls that are 2-4, 1-5, a soccer mom that was 0-0, that she had a hard time with her, even though she had tons of like great positions on her, she could not find a sub. I know she's a BJJ black belt, but to me, it's just not relating in the ring so much, because I don't see her doing anything special on the ground when she has these girls in like dominant positions. So, the one armbar that I saw was against the girl in Grimes that's 1-6 that had no freaking clue what to do on the ground. So, like, to me, the one thing I also want to mention is Oliveira, she might not be great on the ground, but see, she's an IBJJF world champion at I believe, the blue belt level, which is low, I understand, but she still has some credentials. She knows what she's doing down there, as opposed to the girl that got subbed that's 1-6. So, I know everybody's on the Ricci side. I know everybody's talking about how she's going to get her down and get the submission. There's a lot of question marks for me on Ricci. And for me, fighting these low-level fighters and not looking great against them is a question mark. So, yeah, I have a little small play on Oliveira by KO at plus 700. If you guys have a rebuttal, I'm here for it. Go ahead.
No, the only thing I'll say, I agree with you in terms of like money line side. I don't know how you can be betting Ricci, really parlay and Ricci. Look, she could go out there and sub the girl in the first, second round, but we haven't seen much from Ricci at the end of the day. There's a bunch of credentials and about 2 fights in the last 10 years, an MMA fight, right? She's got loads of other competitions, but this is MMA. Her opponent doesn't look good. I don't mind the shot on her opponent, but what I would say is that I probably much prefer her opponent, Oliveira, via decision than the KO. Decision is plus 400. To be honest, I just take her money line if you want to bet her, because it's healthy enough, plus 250. But I don't really see her getting Ricci out there. We saw Ricci very tough against Fierro. I mean, she got dropped. It was not a flash knockdown, but it wasn't like her her brain wasn't shook, and she just got knocked down. She got straight back up to her feet, and it was a standing TKO against Firo, one of the best strikers in the division. So I don't really think this girl gets a TKO. I think if she does win, it's probably a back and forth kind of close split decision fight. But I don't hate the underdog shot. But if I was playing it, I'd probably play decision.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I do agree with you. I put this bet kind of in early, and it was more of a fade of Ricci standing than anything else, honestly. I just don't like her standing at all. I know they say she has some type of Muay Thai background, but like I don't see it at all. It doesn't translate to me. I mean, you go watch that fight against Ormsby. She was like unloading on her in the second round, and that girl's 2-4. Like, and I'm pretty sure like this girl has better striking than that Ormsby girl. So yeah, you're probably right. She is tough. We saw it in a Firo fight. It was kind of like a standing KO. Like basically, I had enough. But yeah, I don't mind actually the decision shot. I didn't look at it like I said in the beginning, and I just went with my actual play that I had. A small play on her by KO. But yeah, that's around plus 400, plus 350 if you are to take a shot. We got people saying Ricci could easily lose, in my opinion. DFS 3 takedowns for win. Like, that's another thing. I don't know if you guys, her takedowns just don't impress me. Her wrestling. So she kind of just like barges forward to get takedowns, and not so much using technical skills to get takedowns, if that makes sense. But we can move on from that barn burner, and we will move on to fight number 7.
So
it is.
If I could jump in, I didn't get to give my 2 cents on that
sorry. I am so sorry.
You're all good, Narco.
Go ahead,
I agree with the boys. I'm on the Ricci side. I like the Ricci sub. I got plus 330 on that earlier in the week, so the value has been beaten down out of that one. But the biggest thing is I just had to ask Narco, why you got to bring up Machado? Like, I just healed from the Tuesday Night Contender Series, and you got to bring up the Machado. I had 2 units on her, one live at plus 400, one pre-flop at plus 375. Like, I thought I was about to go home with a bag on Tuesday, and then she got taken down in those final 30 seconds. So that's a fresh wound for me. Anyway, go on to the next fight. We're good.
Yeah, I mean, I feel you because I had that same bet. I had her live at plus 400.
We were right there.
And I still think it was a very, very close fight. It could have went either way, honestly.
Extremely close.
Mike, and can I say something like just real quick? Win or lose, Machado is an excellent bet. Don't get it twisted.
Yes.
Don't be that guy. Oh, your bet didn't. Machado was an excellent play. She's great. Was she an guys? Just look at it. Don't look at the result. Was this fight close? And the same for Parsons. I get people, write to me and comment about Parsons. It's not about how he won and whether he won or not. Just put it on the scales. Was he competitive enough in that fight? And the answer is yes. They asked Dana White. Dana White thought he won. I thought he won. I thought it was close. I watched it. But it's not whether he won or not. It's whether was he a worthy underdog. And he was.
I'll make the bet again tomorrow, Tajik.
Right, and he was like plus 1,000. Even if he lost, it wouldn't have mattered. He was a great play, and Machado lost, and she was a great play. But I think a lot of people made money from Parsons. So result is a distraction. Don't get distracted on that. Don't get distracted by that.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Like, we're looking for value, and she was the value side. It happened not to hit. Me and Clint still cried because we left a lot of money out on the table. But at the end of the day, would I make that same bet again? Yes, and probably bigger. I mean, to be honest. But Dan says, I have to back the girl that died standing against Faro more than the girl who cried no mas in the DWCS. He's mentioning Marina Rodriguez fight. But
that's fair.
I will be completely honest also. If Marina Rodriguez was to face Ricci, I think the same thing would happen to Ricci.
KO, and Ricci's minus 250, man. You know what I mean? Don't worry about all that other stuff. This is 100%. A betting show, so we're talking about the price.
100%. Anyway. I cannot find a way to bet that line at minus 250. Like,
take her inside the distance. Inside the distance is better. And
Sure.
Yep.
can I just say one more thing? And we need to get off this. How have we spoke about this fight for 20 minutes? The only fight on the card we've spoke about for 20 minutes is like the most dumpster fire fight in the whole card. It's so funny.
I don't know. You're right. But I will do one thing before I move on is shout out the 40 people in chat. Thank you very much for each and every one of you. I appreciate it. All these guys appreciate it. And I appreciate these guys for coming on with me. With that being said, I'm sorry, Clint, about skipping you, but we will move on
good.
to Mr. Mason Jones against the very short notice, David Onama. I think it is Lucrative's turn. Go ahead, sir.
Onama's got a pretty looking record, undefeated in his amateur career and his professional career. He's like 16, 17 and 0, you know, in terms of amateur and professional combined, but hasn't fought solid competition. Doesn't even look that good when I watch it. It's funny because, like, you see Mason Jones minus 300, and then you look at Onama's record, and you're like, 500, minus 500. Minus 500 is quite big, right? Like, the guy's never been defeated, you know, 17 and 0, 17 win streak, whatnot. But I go and watch the fights, and I'm like, this guy's not very good, man. Onama doesn't look that good. Like, it's kind of hard to get a little bit of a read on him just in terms of the level of competition he's faced, right? But his striking mechanics don't look that good. He looks a little bit stiff for me. He obviously has a lot of power and a lot of athleticism and explosiveness, right? So he could probably knock Mason Jones out in the first round. But I just pretty confident in saying Mason Jones is going to stop him. And I'm pretty confident in saying it's probably going to be in the second or third round. But I'll go with a Jones stoppage, round 2, plus 350, plus 380, whatever you want to do. Jones via KO in round 2 to bump it up a little bit. So, yeah, Jones in round 2 or Jones KO in round 2, it's plus 350 minimum up to like plus 450, plus 500.
Full disclosure, I love Mason Jones. I love how he fought against Mike Davis. Mike Davis is a very, very, very good striker with lots of power. And this guy's chin, to me, is incredible, man. This guy is a dog. He keeps on coming forward. He does not give you a break. I mean, this guy breaks people, and you saw him break Alan Patrick last fight really, really bad. Alan Patrick is a veteran of the game. Whatever you think about him, he broke him more than anybody broke Alan Patrick. And, you know, to be honest, Alan Patrick is probably happy he got COVID again, not to fight Mason Jones here. And, you know, David Onama, when I watch him, I'm 100% in agreement with James. Like, there's nothing that wows me about that guy. He's low volume. You know, he seems like he has power, but he's fighting these low-level guys. He is not, like, incredibly accurate when he's throwing either. And the other thing is he's not a great grappler. So the thing that stuck out to me here is that Mason Jones does grapple at times. He does take guys down. And if he is to take this guy down, Mason Jones is really, really good on the ground. He's a BJJ black belt. He knows what he's doing down there. So I think that's where his huge advantage is here, is on the ground. And Mason Jones by submission is plus 550. I really like that line. I think if he does grapple here and decides to take this guy down, I think he's going to get that submission. Yes, I know Mason Jones loves the ground and pound, but maybe this guy gives up his back and doesn't want to get that beating. So, you know, he gets to slip in that guillotine from behind that rear naked choke. So, yeah, for me, it's Mason Jones by submission, plus 550. I think this guy's a problem in the 155 division. And yeah, I like this guy. What do you got for us, Clint?
Man, I think you hit the nail on the head. And talking about Alan Patrick, saying that he wanted to get COVID is an understatement. He was making out with strangers on the Vegas boardwalk trying to get a positive test. He wanted nothing to do with this rematch, man. We knew this one was getting canceled when they first agreed to the rematch. It was never going to happen. And you know what? I actually like this kid, David Onama. I think that he is incredibly special and physically gifted. I just think he's going to get the classic jumped into the UFC gang. It's too early. He's not polished enough yet, but he's got all the tools. He's going to get there. He's going to be a problem. But right now, the gap in skill, I think, is just too much to overcome. And man, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that Mason Jones is going to realize that he doesn't want to deal with this kind of a kid on the feet. And you just don't have to. He's going to end up taking him down. And what these young, explosive kids do, this is the only shot I've got in the jiu-jitsu room these days, is they rely on explosiveness to get out of everything. They rely on that strength and that quickness. And if you think just one step ahead of them, that's how you take the back, because they're going to explode and try and shove you off of them and flip out real quick. And as long as you're anticipating that, you end up straight on back control with that body lock triangle in there. I think Mason Jones is going to rear naked choke this kid when he finally makes a mistake. That might come a little bit later in the fight when he makes him into laps and slows down, but I do think we're going to see a submission. I haven't bet this one yet, actually, but that plus 500, plus 600 price tag, it doesn't sound half bad to me for a guy who's already a minus 450 favorite.
I love it. I love it. We're in agreement there. Tajik, what do you got for us, sir?
Onama by TKO.
Wow. Wow.
Plus
a
700.
lot.
Plus 700. I'm just gonna look at the paper and gonna assume I haven't seen how actually phenomenal Mason is. And when I would look at the paper, I would see that so far he has no wins in the UFC. So I'm gonna go purely by that. Onama is like Lucrative said, is undefeated. He's making his debut on a short notice. He has nothing to lose. And then Mason, we have seen, he likes, he absorbs a lot of punches. So yeah, here you go. Onama by TKO, plus 700. I don't have a round for you.
I mean, I don't mind that shot because I think you are right. He has nothing to lose. The only thing is, like, Mason Jones has an incredible chin, man. Like, this guy got hit with the kitchen sink from Mike Davis, man. And Mike Davis, I believe, hits harder than this Onama kid. Mike Davis is a much, much crisper striker than this kid is. So, like, yeah, can anybody get knocked out? Yes, I agree with that. You got to probably kill this guy, honestly, Mason Jones, to put him out. I don't think this guy is going to go out, with just, getting hit and stuff. Like, you got to actually put this guy out.
Yeah. No, one thing that always saves me, it always will, is that this broadcast is not being recorded and it's not gonna go on YouTube, so we're just fine.
Oh, okay, yes, I'm in agreement there. All right. Next fight up, it is fight number 8. It's Jun Young Park going up against Gregory Rodriguez. I can kick this one off here. I have actually Rodriguez by split or majority decision. You can get it on DK at plus 800. And my reasoning is I just believe this fight's going to be really close. Both guys are good strikers. Rodriguez, looking at weigh-ins and face-offs, my God, he's a fucking monster at 85, man. I don't know how this guy makes 85. He looks humongous, much bigger than Park, but Park, very nice jab, very nice boxing, but I think, the size, the length of Rodriguez, and Rodriguez is a good boxer himself. I think he's going to have the power here. I think he is actually the better, submission grappler here. And if he wants to, he can blast those double legs because he's so powerful, so big, so strong, that if he wants to get takedowns, I think he's going to be able to get takedowns on Park. And on the other end, Park might have a hard time taking this guy down. He does all the right things when people do shoot on him. So, for me, I still believe it's going to be a close fight. This is not going to be a lopsided fight on the Rodriguez side. So, based on me thinking that this is going to be a close fight, and I believe it's going to go to decision, Rodriguez by split or majority at plus 800 is the play here for me. Anything you have here, Clint?
Yeah, this is kind of a late add to my card. Earlier in the week, I was on the Iron Turtle and decided it was too close for comfort and passed on it. I don't like to trust Dana White Contender Series fighters until we've seen them get their feet wet in the UFC for realsies when it comes to my bets. So I was going to take this one off, see how it plays out, because I think the Iron Turtle is just always underrated. He's always disrespected. Everyone seemed to kind of look past him. But then when you see the face-offs, these guys look like they're in different weight classes. And that size and that strength advantage, I think, for Gregory Rodriguez is going to play a massive factor. The one thing that we've seen with Jung Young Park is he has tapped before. And Gregory Rodriguez having the size, the strength, and that BJJ black belt, I do think he's going to want to contest this fight on the ground, because if he stays on the feet, Park is just going to jab him to death and outwork him. He is a little bit slow, low volume, relies on the power on the feet. There's always that club and sub opportunity if he does hit Park with something big. But if they get into a scramble on the mat, I think that submission will be live. So I took that submission prop at 9-1. It's been bet down, so you can get, I see a plus 850 out there right now is about the highest that you can get. And a little birdie told me that if you have bet.ag or whatever it is, that's the one that is hanging a 20-1 right now, I believe. So if you like that play, they've got a much better number than anybody else is offering.
BetOnline.ag?
BetOnline.ag. I don't use that one, so I'm sorry, I forgot the name there, but I believe they've got 20-1.
Sorry?
Yeah, Rodriguez by sub.
I'm looking at it. It's saying 600, but
yeah,
it's,
someone told me this afternoon it was 20-1, so maybe it got hit.
Yeah, it probably got hit. Yeah. Najik, what's up? What do you got?
Yeah, there is a background noise. I'm not sure where it's coming from. I would just check it. Just go mute, go on mute and off. Okay. So I picked Park here, and I think he's gonna knock out the Robocop, and that would be my pick. I think Park by TKO is plus 500, and I just like his overall game. I like his pace. I like his boxing. I said this in my previous performances, that it's I think his overall boxing standing game is better. And the thing that clouds our judgment is this last fight that Robocop had with, what's this guy's name?
Dusko.
Dashko Todorovic, right? And so with Todorovic, it's very, we're looking at it, and he's just did everything what he wanted to do. Good counter striking. He took him down, and it's very easy to get clouded and kind of have this bias towards him. But when you look at Park actually had a decent level, great competition. And so I'm just looking, in terms of long term, he proved himself more. And I just didn't think that Todorovic is actually a good test for Robocop to go through for us to get that validity that Clint is talking about, right? I think Clint is spot on. You need to give him this first run and see how they go after they go through the Dana White Contender Series. I think it's a terrific point, right? I just don't know if they gave him this type of fight. I think Todorovic, in the hindsight, albeit, kind of looks like. He looks like a fraud. Never happened. What's going on. But yeah, I'm not gonna give, unfortunately, the credit which I think maybe Robocop deserves, but I don't think so. I still kind of doubt him, and I don't doubt Park. I think what he's gonna do is gonna put on the striking clinic on Robocop, and is gonna put him away at plus 500 by TKO.
Awesome. Good analysis. Before I just move on, James, if you don't mind, please mute it when you're talking, because the echo is coming off. Yeah, but it's your turn, brother. It's your turn. So
sorry about that.
Now talk.
All right, sweet. So I like Robocop. I like G-Rod, man. He's the man. I liked him before he came into the UFC. The last time, or the only time, I was on Clint's podcast, and that might be doing something again soon. I'm not too sure, but the last time I was on Clint's podcast, actually, that was G-Rod's last fight, right? So it's kind of come full circle that we're on the same podcast together today. And we both backed G-Rod there, plus 140 against Dusko Todorovic. He was the underdog. People didn't really like him. A lot of people were on Dusko. And G-Rod goes out there, 30-27, complete domination, right? I thought that was going to happen. I bet on him, 2.5 unit shot at plus 140. So it's a big bet on an underdog for me. Usually I don't go super heavy on an underdog like that. I was actually doing my recap the other day, and I think it was the heaviest underdog I've bet, one of the heaviest underdog I've bet all year. So I like G-Rod, man. I like his game. I like his boxing. I think he's very slick. The one thing about G-Rod, the two things about G-Rod is his cardio is a little bit of a question mark for me. I think the guy's huge. You know, we all know that. A lot of muscle on his frame. These guys tend to slow down, unless your name's Kamaru Usman. If you're jacked to the hills like that, you tend to slow down. And I do think he can slow down in that third round. But, he pushed through it against Dusko. It's not the worst cardio. The only other issue is that I think he might have a bad chin. We've seen him knocked out in a brutal way against Jordan Williams, of all people, on the Contender Series. That's not a good look. But at the end of the day, everything else about his game, I think it's very solid. He's very solid on top. He's a good grappler. He will go for takedowns, and his boxing is very crisp. His counter-striking is extremely good as well. So I'm going to go for the Lambo play to bring it home. I'm going to say G-Rod gets a submission here at plus 800, just like Clint said. I think he can get takedowns on Park. I think Park's going to try and get takedowns on G-Rod as well, which would just mean more grappling, more chances for Rodriguez to wrap up some sort of front choke. We've seen Fluffy Hernandez tap out Jung Young Park, with the anaconda choke. So I think Rodriguez can do something similar here. Not my official prediction, of course, but for the Lambo, it is my official prediction. So plus 800, Rodriguez sub, ship it.
The other thing I will say is, I don't know if it was mentioned, but, Rodriguez, to me, has improved by a lot at Sanford MMA. The last, couple of fights, he's done his camp at Sanford, and the guy looks a lot more calmer. He just looks like a different person fighting in there. He's thinking more, and it just seems like, it was a different person from what I saw, on tape from him before that. So I think Sanford MMA has really helped him. You go look at this guy's Instagram. This guy's fucking training all day, every day, it seems like. So he's in there. He's putting in the work. I don't know if this guy is actually a 29 or 39. I'm not going to say, but, but the guy's in there working. So with that being said,
it's on there. It's on there, isn't it? Didn't Obama leak his passport so we can check his age? We can check his age.
With that being said, no slight to Rodriguez. We will move on to fight number 9. It is Nick Negumereanu going up against Ike Villanueva. It is your turn, Clint. Give us something here.
Oh, you guys, I hate this fight so much. On the Monday podcast, I talked about this one with my guest, and I've got a soft spot for Ike. I don't know why. He's a good story. Like, I want to see the guy win. At the end of the day, he probably should be fighting at 185 and not 205, and that was never more apparent than when he faced off against Negumereanu after the weigh-ins today. I've got a 1-unit bet on Ike Villanueva at plus 200. I feel like that's, it's kind of a dog or pass spot because Negumereanu he doesn't impress me. He doesn't seem like he's that good. But as the week has gone on, the one thing that he does have is durability. And this is going to be a gunfight. These guys are literally just going to stand and trade. They're going to walk each other down. They're going to try and bomb on each other. And Ike is the smaller fighter and the less durable fighter. So I really hate my bet right now. So unfortunately, my extremely frustrated Lambo play would be Ike by knockout at plus 300. That's not one I've actually bet. Like I said, I've got the money line, but I think that it's more likely that Negumereanu is the one getting the TKO rather than Ike. So yikes. Yeah, this is not one that I think we're going to find a bunch of hidden value on necessarily, unless Tajik knows something I don't, which is almost every fight.
Tajik, do you know something he doesn't know?
No, I don't. I don't know. It's pretty straightforward fight, right? I think Negumereanu is gonna go in charge, and try to put Ike away early. And that's that we talked about it, Mike, right? Like, it's not a coincidence when in 3 out of your 4 fights you get stopped, right? But every fight is a fight, I'm gonna go with Negumeriano by TKO round 2, which I believe is let me check, is plus 950 on FanDuel.
Nice.
It's actually not bad.
Nice. James, can you get us out of this hole?
Again, I really don't have anything here. This is actually the only fight on the card I haven't taped yet. I guess you guys know why I haven't fully taped it. You know, it's the one I've left to the back burner. I even done Souza and Marcos before this one. So honestly, man, I'm going to have to give it a pass. There's not much out there, even if I wanted to back something. Yeah, Villanueva TKO plus 330.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, looking at Villanueva, I completely agree with Clint here. This guy should not be fighting at 205. This guy's probably 185er. But the one thing that does stick out to me with Villanueva is like, I really don't know, if this guy is all in MMA. Like, this guy's fighting at heavyweight at 233, weighing in at 233 pounds. Then he's fighting at 185. Then he's fighting at 205. So he's all over the place. I don't know where the dedication is or what his deal is. But to me, the one thing that sticks out here is, well, actually, there's two things. It is Nick's chin. Nick's chin is really good. I think Ike's only chance here is round 1 KO, to be honest. And the other thing I see here is Negro Mariano, if he wants to take this fight to the ground, I think he can easily do it. So looking back at Ike's career, a lot of his knockouts are in the second round and the third round. So he does well in the first round. And I'm going to assume he tires because this guy doesn't train very well, it seems like. So Negro Mariano did show one thing in his last fight. He showed cardio. This guy kept coming and coming and coming for 3 rounds. So for a guy that slows down and a guy that doesn't slow down and a guy that has a really good chin and is probably a lot better grappler here, I think, looking at Negro Mariano here, I have a play by KO at plus 225 or something like that. But the Lambo play for me here is Negro Mariano round 2 plus 600. And the reason why I didn't take that, KO or submission, because I believe, he's Ike is so bad down there that he can probably get it either way he wants it. So I just didn't want to take a chance and putting a KO or a sub behind that. So I rather just take round 2 plus 600. Let me go over to chat and see what everybody's saying. $1,000 2-teamer. Ike and Kama, you are out of your mind, Anton. But Nega is going to stand in the pocket and give Ike the fight he wants. Yes, I believe he will stand in the pocket. His chin is really good. And I think Ike's power needs to stay there in the first round. I think that's his chance. I think it goes away in the second and third. I'll take Nick by KO round 2, only because he has Roger by Prachniow, and Ike has no correlation to either thing. I just lost money betting against Prachniow, and I'm petty. Yeah, he folded him up with a body kick, I believe, right? That was it. So
Prachniow found a new chin that night, though, folks. I was on Ike that one too, and yeah, he had a surgically implanted chin for that one.
I think he's done it twice, right? Even against our buddy, what's his name? God. Khalil. Everybody had the under in that fight, and everybody got burned because I'm one of them. Full disclosure, I got burned in the under. I think I even made it under 2.5 and still got burned or whatever it was. So it was pretty terrible. But moving on.
Yeah, can I share something real quick? Just
Sure.
real quick, because it's like we're on this KO topic. I know, some a little hint that I use sometimes when I'm trying to cap the fight, and trying to find out whether it goes by decision or it's going to be a knockout, right? When you look at the odds, this crazy KO or props and stuff like that, in itself, when you're trying to see, always remember the KOs in MMA are rare events. They are rare events. More often than not, fights go to a decision. So when I operate, and when some cappers operate, I don't know how the others are do it. I always come from this negative bias that it is more likely to go to a decision than the public assumes, or how Las Vegas puts it, right? So always when you try to look into this, like, oh, this fight is definitely going to be KO, try to balance it out and understand the fact that the KOs in MMA, the stoppages, the TKOs, are rare events, and it will help you to better balance your game and then not go crazy, and then go into the Santos versus what's this guy's name?
Yeah, that went 5 rounds, correct.
Yeah, it's situation, right? Like, you're looking at it like that's it. So that's
Awesome.
just my 2 cents. Yeah.
But just something to add on to Jeek's point, for everybody watching, you want to become better MMA bettors, right? There's actually a cool tool. I don't know if you know about this, Tajik, as well. There's a good tool on betmma.tips where you can actually, and everybody, should be using betmma.tips, not even for just tracking, but it has a lot of tools which can help you make money on MMA. It has lots of statistics, right? Specifically on MMA. As far as I know, there's nowhere else in the world, which is like a centralized platform that holds as much statistics as betmma does in terms of betting. And they have a tool where it says each weight class's finishing rates. And I know Z talks about this a lot, right? It says every weight class has a different finishing rates. Flyweight fights, they finish at 45%, or whatever it is. I actually don't know off the top of my head. Heavyweight fights finish at 65% or something like that. So you can actually look at the specific weight class and then balance it out to the, how often it finishes, to make it even more knowledgeable. So yeah, just thought I'd throw that out there for anyone who doesn't use that tool.
Great.
And if we're all sharing tips to improve everybody's game, did you guys know that Chipotle has an app? You can actually call ahead your order. So when you get to Chipotle, you just walk in and pick it up. You don't have to wait in line. You can just go right home and eat your burrito.
I think that's a great tip right there.
It is a great tip. I actually use it all the time. The problem has become right now, Clint, is that I go to Chipotle a lot. And so the number of the online orders right now is exceeding the numbers of the in-person orders. So you have to check the time. Go on Google, check how busy the store is. And if it's overly too busy, get in line. You might get
Fuck, man. Even on Chipotle tips, Tajik one-ups me.
Awesome. Thank you, James. Thank you, Tajik, for those tips. I'm sure all the viewers appreciate it. That is great insight you guys are giving them. With that being said, let's move on. Fight number 10. We are almost there. It is Dwight Grant against the guy that ages like wine, Francisco Trinaldo. I think it is Tajik's turn.
Yeah, I'm gonna be short here. I'm gonna pick Trinaldo via split decision at plus 750 over at DraftKings.
Awesome. James.
Most of these fights, my official prediction on the fight is under plus 300, because most of the time it's more likely to happen, right? So it's not going to be a massive number if I'm verbalizing that correctly, but I'm sure you know.
But 1 second, we are trying to buy Lambos here. You can't buy Lambos with that. Okay,
right. No, I wanted to, throughout the broadcast, just to, reiterate that we're not necessarily saying this is going to happen, right? A lot of times I'm saying something's going to happen. I have bets on the other side, right?
Sure.
This might be one. I like Grant via KO at plus 300 here, plus 400 on one book, plus 380. Trinaldo, he has never been knocked out in 34 fights, right? And I'm saying he's going to be knocked out here. Well, no, I'm not. But for the Lambo, I'm saying he is. He's been dropped in his last 2 fights, right? And he hasn't been dropped many times prior to that in the UFC. So he hasn't been knocked out his whole career. Then he gets dropped twice in 2 fights. Now he's fighting Jai Herbert, very precision striker, can knock you down. Salikov, very, very heavy striker, uppercut landed. But his durability is gonna go at some point, right? One of the first things to go when you age in MMA is your durability, right? Power was one of the last things, but taking power is one of the first things to go. So at some point, I'm sure Trinaldo's probably going to suffer the first knockout of his career if he keeps fighting past the ripe old age of 42. So I think Grant, he obviously got a lot of power. We've seen him almost put out Daniel Rodriguez. We've seen him get a knockout in the UFC prior to that. So I think Dwight Grant could potentially land something heavy in that first round and get a KO. So you know, I'll say that for the Lambo parlay, but I do actually like Trinaldo to get the W in this fight in general.
So for me, I'm going to go on the opposite end of the spectrum, and I think Trinaldo by submission. I actually have a play on him at plus 1,000. I don't know what it is right now, but to me, like, you know, Trinaldo does get takedowns here and there. It's not every fight. And, you know, with Grant, we saw it with Sekulic. Sekulic was able to get him down a couple of times. I just think, you know, Trinaldo is the much, much better grappler here. And, you know, I will say that I do believe his chin is kind of waning lately because, you know, he got knocked down by Herbert. He got knocked down by Salikov. But I also will say is I think both of those guys are probably better strikers than Grant. But one thing I will say is Grant does have a lot of power. Grant is long. So, yeah, if he is to touch him up, it's very possible he can get him out of there. But I also think that if Trinaldo does happen to grapple here and decide to take Grant down, I think he's the much better grappler. So submission at that type of price, I think, has some value to it. I know he doesn't have many submissions on his ledger, but the guy is a much better grappler, plain and simple, than Grant is. So, you know, you're going to give me a big line like that in a fight that might possibly get down to the ground at times, you know, because, you know, Grant might touch him up and he decides to grapple. You know, I will take it. I think the line is off at plus 1,000. I don't know. Like I said, it's probably plus 800 now. What do you got for us, Clint?
Yeah, you guys broke this one down pretty well. I'm also picking Trinaldo to win the fight. I actually have not bet this one because I'm a little scared to, if I'm being honest. I got a soft spot for Dwight Grant. I love shitty fighters with knockout power, guys. We already talked about this. So, like, part of me is kind of pulling for Grant here, but the fact is I think there's levels to this game, and even though Trinaldo's the smaller fighter, he's got the back class, much more experience, much higher skill level. If Grant was going to put it together, he probably would have done it last year. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not expecting big jumps of improvements from him. So the only thing I can see him getting here is if Trinaldo has finally fallen off that cliff, if he has finally gotten old enough for things to start causing him problems, I'd say, look, Grant round 3, 16-1. You know, Trinaldo is not a guy that's easy to knock out, but when that gas tank slows down and he becomes a little bit more hittable, especially if he tries to wrestle, Trinaldo really only shoots about 1 takedown per 15 minutes. So if he's going to need to grapple to survive against Grant in this fight and has to get 2, 3, 4 takedowns, that might tire him out. Who's going to be the fresher fighter late? Maybe Grant. Maybe that's when the knockout comes. And for the Lambo play, I'll say Grant round 3, 16-1.
Awesome. I don't hate it. We can move it over to Tajik.
Tajik started us on this one.
Oh,
I think I started the
Sorry. Then we will move on. With that being said, let's move on. I am getting tired here, I guess. Fight number 11, it's Alec Caceres versus Sung Woo Choi. It is your turn, James. What do you got, sir?
Are you going to give me a pass on this one? Because it's plus 310 on FanDuel, and then it's like plus 280, plus 275 elsewhere. Is that allowed, Narco?
That is definitely allowed.
All right. We squeaked over. So Choi via TKO. That's what I'm going with. TKO, I think that he's going to bully Caceres at points. I think Caceres is not overrated, but I think in this spot he's overrated. I've heard quite a few people I've spoke to on the DMs saying Caceres is a good bet. Look, he's plus 225. I know you want to pull the trigger, but I think that there's a striking difference in this fight. And I think Choi could find a TKO and TKO Caceres for like only the second time in his illustrious UFC career, 20 fights or something. I think Choi can find a TKO here. So, yeah, I'm going with that.
Awesome. Again, I am going on the opposite end here. I think it's going to be a pretty close fight. I don't see Caceres stopping Choi. Like he's shown better takedown defense, actually good takedown defense now. And, you know, Caceres is that guy on the feet. Like he's really awkward, you know, karate style, switching stances, very awkward, very hard to get timing on this guy. You know, he throws decent striking. You know, he can probably mix in some grappling here if he can, you know, kind of clinch and stuff like that and make this fight a little dirtier than Choi wants it to be. So I just think, in a close fight, getting Caceres by decision plus 490 is not a horrible look. Like you mentioned, James, Caceres has been in the UFC for a long time. The guy has seen everything and anything. I don't think there's anything Choi that can throw at him that he hasn't seen. With that being said, Choi is the better striker. So Choi has really clean striking. I do agree with you. But to be fair and honest, he also couldn't get out Suman Makhtarian, which is kind of like I'm not going to say he doesn't hit hard, but I think his power is a little overrated based on him knocking out Julian Erosa. How about you, Clint?
Y'all want a Lambo? I got you a Lambo. The fight goes to a draw at 80-1. We've got Choi, who will repeatedly drop Alex Caceres and get a 10-8 in one round and then get out-volumed for the other two for a draw. Now, I'm actually more on the lucrative camp side of things here. I've got a parlay with Choi in it. I do actually think Choi is going to win the optics. I think he hits harder. He'll move forward more. And I think the TKO for Choi is far more live than the draw is. But if you're talking Lambo plays, if you've got $5 and you want to go home with a pile, have something to bet on for Sunday football, take a sprinkle on the draw.
That is definitely a Lambo play at plus 8,000, you said?
Oh, yeah, looks like 8,000 at Bet365. It's 50-1 everywhere else.
That is definitely a Lambo play. Can you top that, Tajik?
I made sure he couldn't.
I can't, absolutely. I mean, the highest I can go will probably get you like a lease for like Honda Accord or something. I like Choi here. I like him by decision. I mean, this line is like what, plus 100. That's I just don't. I want to give you guys like like when I make my props, like when I make my picks, and then I give the rounds and the methods. I actually have a certain degree of confidence, right? And so like if here I gave you some like Choi by sub, Choi by TKO, I wouldn't be believing in it. So I want you to understand that when I give Choi by decision, and it's just like I can't give you something by sub or by KO, it's because I don't believe in it. So yeah, Mike. So that's where I'm gonna leave it.
Understood. That is totally fine. There are some fights where you just can't find anything, and I believe Clint is like in a 1970 Ford now with ripped seats. So he just went out of his Lambo into a 1970 something there.
That's Tajik's plus 100 play is the is the interior of the not Lambo.
Oh boy.
That's hilarious.
Actually, Civic plays compared to that one. They definitely are. Moving on, fight number 12. It is Jessica Rose Clark against Jocelyn Edwards. I have a play here. My Lambo play here is Clark by submission plus 1,100. I'm just not really fond of Jocelyn Edwards' ground game. I think Clark is the more physical fighter here. She's the stronger fighter here. Standing, I do like what I see from Edwards. She's a pretty good striker, and that's why I believe, Clark is very aggressive. Clark comes forward, and I think, if she's able to get this girl on the cage, get some clinch work there, get a takedown, she is the better grappler on the ground. I believe she's a purple belt. So with that being said, a plus 1,100, play on her by submission is not a bad poke, in my opinion. What do you have for us, Clint?
Well, got to get back in the Lambo here real quick. This fight is one that I got out ahead of. I got the Jessica Rose Clark money line in real life. And I think that a Lambo play is you're probably squeezing a bit thin on this fight. I don't know if there actually is a Lambo play. So, for the sake of argument, I think the only one I could find would be Jessica Rose Clark by TKO at 5-1 plus 500. I think that we're going to see a lot of wrestling out of Jessica Rose Clark. This is very similar to the other women's MMA fight on the card we talked about, where Jocelyn Edwards struggles with the wrestling, and Jessica Rose Clark is very physically strong. She's been working with Daniel Cormier. They're on win. Like, I expect her to come out and grapple. My real prediction is going to be Jessica Rose Clark by decision, but that's not sexy. I think if she's going to do anything, it's going to put those elbows to work, get on top of her, maybe get the referee mercy stoppage if she can just beat on her, maybe late in the fight. But more than likely, this one's going over. I do like the JRC side. So, yeah, we'll say Rose Clark by TKO.
Awesome. Don't hate it. Tajik, do you got another Honda Accord play for us?
No, this one is actually going to be big, and I'm getting messages about us beating the line on Jocelyn Edwards, because when we spoke last time, Mike, I picked Jocelyn Edwards by TKO, and it was plus 1400. I'm actually amazed that this line was available. I'm not sure what's going on here. But right now, I think it's not available anymore at plus 1400, and maybe somebody in the chat can correct us. But it looks like right now it's just mine plus 950.
No, it's still there. It's plus 1400, and I see plus 6.
Where is it plus 1400?
Plus 1400 is on DraftKings, and plus 1600 is on FanDuel.
Wow. I mean, so you said you want a Lambo, huh? I mean, that's here you go. Here's your Jocelyn at the TKO. If FanDuel gives that, I don't bet on FanDuel, I'll tell you that. DraftKings is my choice of sport book, regardless of the odds. I don't shop around. I like DraftKings; they're reliable, and so I'm gonna pick Jocelyn Edwards by TKO at plus 1400.
Awesome,
which is incredible.
Awesome, James.
Honestly, I don't mind the Edwards TKO. That's what I was going to say. I am on the Clark side in general. I think Clark's probably going to win the fight, but I don't mind Edwards TKO. One thing I saw when I was watching tape is that Clark leaves her face out there to be hit. And we know that Jocelyn Edwards is tall, she's long, she's rangy, she has very long arms. And I think she's definitely going to crack Jess at some points. She's very aggressive as well, man. She's very wild. She's not a great put-together fighter, because she just goes all out, I actually backed her. I think it was her UFC debut when she fought Yanan Wu. It was a UFC debut, and she was a plus 150 underdog there. And I just thought she'd be too aggressive, and I didn't think Yanan Wu would be able to deal with her. Now, very close fight, but she got the decision at plus 150. So I don't hate her as much as a lot of people. I see a lot of, not hate for, not a legitimate hate, but just in terms of her skill set, people think she's really awful and stuff. She's very wild, and she's got very poor defensive grappling, but she's decent on the feet, and she's very aggressive. And we know in women's MMA, especially, physicality and aggressiveness goes a long way, even more than men's MMA. For whatever reason, I don't know. We just know the fact, right? So I think that she could probably, at some point, potentially get Clark up against the cage and just go nuts like she does. We've seen it on the regional scene a lot. So at 14-1, 16-1, you said, I don't mind it at all. I'm on the Clark side in general. I think she's made a lot of improvements lately. She's training with Daniel Cormier as well. They're actually friends specifically with Daniel Cormier at his wrestling academy. So I think she's going to go to the wrestling in this fight, which is what Jocelyn struggles with. So I do think that Clark will win, but the Lambo play is going to be the 14-1 shot on the Edwards TKO.
Awesome. I did have a small rebuttal to Tajik on that. And what I did say is that Jessica Rose Clark has never been stopped. She's extremely durable, extremely tough girl. But a plus 1400 on a girl that's actually a wild, striker that has good power. I think she has a Muay Thai background. So, the girl's a good striker. So you're getting a huge number on a girl that can strike against a girl that's pretty hittable. So I don't mind that shot at all. With that being said, we will move on to our co-main event. It is Grant Dawson against the reinvented Ricky Glenn. Go ahead, Clint. It's your turn, sir.
Is he reinvented, though? That's That's what I'm trying to figure out. You come into the UFC after a 3-year layoff and you pop one of the chinniest fighters on the roster. Are you reinvented? I'm not sold on Rick Glenn. I know there's a lot of people who have been tempted by the line, have said that this is disrespectful. I got to see it. He's got to prove it to me more before I'm willing to actually step in there and back him. I don't remember if I leaned to him last fight out. I don't think I actually ended up pulling the trigger on a bet for it. I might have had the under, but we talked about how chinny his opponent was, and that was a big factor of how he could pull that off. Grant Dawson ain't chinny. Grant Dawson is not the kind of fighter that you're going to come out, pop once, and have this thing be over with. In fact, Grant Dawson reminds me a lot of who's the other big favorite on the card that we were talking about?
Mason Jones.
Mason Jones. Like similarly, the breakdown goes very similarly for me as far as the grappling, because Grant Dawson is going to look for takedowns. We have seen Rick Glenn be solid defensively speaking off of his back. But if you get a younger fighter who's got a better gas tank, who's aggressive and thinks one step ahead in the grappling, I think eventually Dawson is going to make a mistake. Glenn. If you look at Dawson's record, he's got like 5 rear naked chokes. Like that's all this guy does. He's so slick. He's so good at taking the back. And I don't think he's going to get in a pissing contest and give Glenn the opportunity to knock him out on the feet. So I like Grant Dawson a lot on Saturday, and I guess tomorrow in a few hours. I'm thinking Grant Dawson by submission, but I know that doesn't work as a Lambo play. Oh, wait, plus 330 is still hanging around out there. Dawson by submission plus 330. Got it.
Awesome. Tajik, what do you got here, sir?
I was thinking that Dawson cannot finish Glenn, and now I'm kind of like taking a step back to think, theoretically what he can do is put this hellacious pass on Glenn, ground and pound and take him down over the course of the first and second round, tire him out, and then finish him in the third. And so since we're going for a Lambo, I'm going to go with Grant Dawson by TKO in round 3, which is available on FanDuel at plus 2,600.
Awesome. James, you're up, sir.
Lambo play Dawson round 3 plus 1,000. Ship it. I love me a bit of Dawson round 3. I cashed Dawson round 3 like a few other people with 1 second to go in his last fight against Santos. That was probably the sweetest cash.
That was so sweet.
I was ripping it up. I also had the fight doesn't go to decision. I was ripping it up, both tickets. I ripped both tickets up. Luckily, I didn't fully rip them up because, he cashed him with 1 second to go. So let's say he does it again. Why not? Grant Dawson is going to tire Glenn out and get him out there in the third round for plus 1,000. I
am right there with you. Dawson, round 3, plus you can get actually plus 1,100 if you have DraftKings. I will say one thing, and how I kind of looked at, Rick Glenn has only been stopped once, and that was by Lance Palmer. And I kind of actually see a lot of Lance Palmer in Grant Dawson. And the fact that he's going to grapple heavy, he's going to get on top. He's very heavy on top, vicious ground and pound. And, to Clint's credit, he gets that rear naked choke. And I think part of that rear naked choke comes from his nasty ground and pound. I mean, this guy wants to pound the shit out of you when you're on bottom, which ends up you giving your back to this guy, and he sinks in that rear naked choke. And like James said, I think he's going to tire out Glenn here. Glenn historically is very, very durable. But again, the guy's been out of the ring for a long time. He came back for one fight that only lasted 37 seconds. So we can just basically say this guy has not fought for 3 years, really, because 37 seconds to me does not show any type of gas tank that you have going up against a guy in Dawson that puts up a crazy pace, guys. This guy will grapple, continuing grappling, chain grappling, chain wrestling. This guy will go get on top and punish you when he's on top. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully he doesn't get him out of there by the second round. But, yeah, I really like, Dawson at 1,100 in the third round is actually a good look. And I actually might make it an official play of mine
I feel a little silly because I've actually bet Dawson round 3 at 11-1 and forgot to use that for my Lambo pick. So when you mentioned it lucrative, I was like, why does that sound familiar? And I went back and like scrolled through my bets.
Awesome. All three of us on that. That's great. That's even giving me more confidence now. With that being said, we will move to our main event. Before I move on to the main event, I want to thank everybody in here. 54 of you in here. This is the biggest amount that I've had on this podcast. This is number 3. Thank you very much to each and every one of you. And I will say what I always say, without you guys in chat and you guys participating in here, this actual podcast would not be here. So thank you very, very much. With that being said, we will move on to the main event. It is Paulo Costa going up against Marvin Vettori at 205 now. I have no idea how, but we will kick it off to Tajik Bey. What do you got for us here, sir?
Yes, whichever way you play this one, I want you guys to focus on something because there's things that when you're breaking down the fights and just in general when you're trying to make kind of predictions, that is called like analysis paralysis, right? So when you try to analyze certain events too much to a point where you're getting absolutely stuck, right? So when you're talking about right now, what can be what can be problematic right now is this whole weight conversation. Him going to 185, 195, clean sources have said that it's going to be at the super heavyweight, it's just, but the thing is that there's a lot of scrutiny, a lot of publicity going on right now. And so the problem with that is that you're trying to keep this fight and then this weight situation comes in and you're having trouble for the right reason, because you can't kept that weight loss at this very moment right now. You could say that it is advantage, to Costa at this point or not. The way I think about it, the better you are, much better off assuming that this weight gain, this weight conversation hasn't happened at all. Get it out of your system. Move on. Do not focus on the weight situation, because it's going to cloud your judgment. It's going to make you kind of like this, have your pick decisively one way or another. The way you were keeping this fight prior to this weight situation, leave it at that. Everything else is just a noise. So I picked Vettori early, and I picked him by TKO. I couldn't pick which round what is going to be. I think I got him at plus 450 on DraftKings. I just can't name the round because, again, I can't, figure out the impact of that additional weight for Costa. So I'm going to leave it. I'm going to keep it very, very simple with Vettori by TKO for me.
Awesome. Good points about the weight miss and the actual weight drama that we were going through today. James, what do you got for us here?
I want to second what Tajik said with the weight stuff, man. Throw it out your head. Listen, I always talk about narratives clouding people's judgment in MMA betting, right? Everyone wants to talk about the narrative. I have a bet on Vettori. I'll just say that right now. And a few of people who follow me are my members. Inbox me. Oh, look at this weight miss. Like, we're going to cash out our bet? You're going to keep our bet? No, guys, leave the bet. First of all, the outside of the octagon stuff, it's so hard to cap. But second of all, if we really want to speak about this specific situation, let's talk about it very quickly. Vettori versus Costa, right? Costa's saying he's 20 pounds heavier. He can't make the weight. So you can look at that two ways. And there's no argument against this, right? The first way you can look at it, you can say Costa's much heavier now. It was Costa's decision to stay at a higher weight. So he's got the advantage, right? Maybe. You can't argue against that. It could be true. Also, though, we could look at it another way. Actually, Costa hasn't been training hard enough. Why can't he make the weight? He's never missed weight in his entire career. Now he wants to go up not 10 pounds, not 5 pounds, not 15, 20 pounds. He couldn't have been training hard in the gym. There's no way he couldn't have been training hard. You cannot argue against that being a possibility, right? So there's two things, right? It could be in Costa's favor or it could be against Costa's favor. So you're going to sit there for 5 hours deciding what possibility you want to pick. Who knows? Nobody knows. It could be in the favor of Vettori. It could be in the favor for Costa, which basically means forget about it and move on. So that's just what I wanted to say. A bit passionate, but anyway. My Lambo play is going to be Vettori to win in round 4. I think we've seen him go 5 rounds multiple times now. We've seen him push through adversity. We haven't seen Costa push through much adversity. In fact, he lost that 3rd round against Yoel Romero when there was adversity there. Obviously destroyed by Izzy. I think that Vettori can get the takedowns and wear him out, and I think Costa will probably gas. I trust Vettori's cardio a lot more than Costa, and I think he's probably going to get him out there in the 4th round. I don't think Costa's going to last to see the 5th round, so I think like a 3rd or 4th round stoppage for Vettori. I'm going to go for the round 4 though. It's plus 1600.
All right, so for me, I pretty much echo everything you said. Please throw the weight miss out your head. I know, it's at 205 now. I know Costa's probably going to be the bigger guy in the ring. We can all agree to that. But, like James said, is this guy really training hard when he missed by 20 pounds? He can't even make 195? Probably not. And part of the not training hard, right, James, is not doing cardio, right? Because he's probably not doing a lot of cardio here. And what does that mean? That means his gas tank is probably not going to be good, guys. That's what I am getting with in this fight. And for me, I actually really like the bet I have. It's an official bet of mine. It's Vettori round 3 and 4 plus 700. I really like that bet. I think this guy only has 2 rounds in him at best. I think he's going to be huffing and puffing by the 3rd. He was huffing and puffing by the 3rd against Romero when he was in good shape and he was training. So I can't imagine what he's going to look like in round 3 in this fight with a guy that Vettori, I'm not going to say he pushes a hellacious pace, but the guy will grapple. I think he's going to have success in getting this guy down. And the more tired he is, the easier those takedowns are going to come. And I honestly, at this point, I really question what Costa wants to do with his career. I really believe, this guy is popular now, guys. This guy has over 1 million followers. He's talking about fighting Logan Paul and the Paul brothers and all this other nonsense. So this guy is looking at other avenues of making money, and the MMA is not one of them, I believe now. So, it doesn't seem like to me his heart is there. His training is obviously not there. So, Vettori round 3, round 4, Vettori to win straight. He's the much more proven guy, the guy that's been 5 rounds twice. You can go on and on. I really like Vettori in this spot. Vettori round 3, round 4 at plus 700 is my Lambo play. Clint, finish us off.
Hey, you guys honestly capped it perfectly. I couldn't say it any better myself. And hey, I'm the guy that has the Friday post weigh-in show where I talk about how everybody looks on the scale, and we go into who favors what and will the weight miss. I've got the freaking tinfoil hat for exactly those types of things. But no, in this particular spot, you nailed it. Like, we saw Nick Diaz come in just a couple weeks ago, and I was one of the people that thought, you know what? That extra weight is going to carry. That means he's going to be better. And the fact is he was mentally checked out. He didn't want anything to do with it. He wasn't training. He wasn't ready to go. So that's exactly what could be happening here with Costa in this kind of a situation. So this is absolutely one where you wad it up, you throw it out. I'm with you guys. I'm on Vettori. And actually, both of my plays were taken. I was going to say round 4. That's the round that I've been predicting basically since we talked about this fight the first time way back on Monday. And then Tajik with the knockout. We're all thinking submission. Submission seems to be the easy road because that's what Vettori does. But you know what? He actually had an interview, or maybe it was the press conference, where him and Costa were going back and forth, and he told Costa, I'm going to knock you out. And Costa basically accused him of having soft hands and said that he couldn't knock him out. Vettori is a piss and vinegar fighter, folks. Like, if you tell this man he can't do something, he's gonna go do it. So I don't think he will be looking for the choke. If he gets in a dominant position, if Costa gets tired and he's underneath him, Vettori's gonna unleash hell. So I think it's going to be TKO round 4. I mean, it could be round 3 as soon as Costa slows down. Hell, it might even be round 2. But I do think that Costa will hang in there long enough, and I do think that Vettori's going to have to soften him up with multiple takedowns. So I'll stick with the round 4 prediction.
Awesome. Mushroom
And
is
Mushroom,
asking you.
I'm going to shrink the scope a little bit. I'm going to say I'm probably just going to do rounds 4 and 5. I'm going to take round 3 out of the equation because I think that Costa either has the massive advantage that we're all talking about with this weight, and he ends it in round 1 or 2 himself. And then if he doesn't, it's either going to get really greasy and go into like the late 3rd, the 4th round, something like that. The round 3 seems to be kind of the outlier to me, where both guys kind of figure out who's really going to win the fight. So I think I might take that one out of the equation and just go 4-5.
Awesome. So we're all on the Vettori side. I love it. I think he should be the play here. Again, I will mention it, man. I honestly don't believe Costa wants to do this MMA thing anymore. I think he's looking for other ways to make money and more money. And that's why he's in that Paul, discussion, and he wants to all of a sudden box now. And, the guy has, like I said, he's got 1.1 million followers on Instagram. This guy's pretty popular. So MMA does not look like his path. So hopefully Vettori gets him out of his path come tomorrow night. With that being said, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you in chat again. And thank you to my great 3 guests here. This was an awesome show. You guys gave some awesome Lambo plays. And Clint right there is sitting in a Lambo, guys. He's showing you what it's like to be on this show, because with these Lambo plays, you might end up where Clint is right now.
It's that easy.
It's that easy. Thank you very much, guys. With that being said, let me leave the floor to Clint first. Tell them where they can find you. Tell them what you have going and whatever other shout out you want to give them.
Hey, first off, I want to say thank you, Narco. It was fun coming on doing this. This is a fun format, trying to find these longer shot plays. It's a good exercise, and it was a fun stream to do with you guys. So thank you very much. You guys can find me at Diehard MMA Pod on Twitter, as the handle suggests. And that's about it. I do content basically constantly over at Pub Sports Radio, so you'll find me over there for any of my videos.
Yeah, please follow this guy. Please, he's a great content creator, great capper. Please follow him. Subscribe to that Pub Sports Radio, and he does a lot of stuff on there. Mr. Tajik Bey, the GOAT, tell these people where they can find you and what you have going, sir.
You can find me on Twitter at Tajik Bey. I'm always available. I always say there is no unfollow button. But most recently, also, I started T-shirt sales to support the MMA community. So you can find the link in the description below. With that, you will get 3 things, right? First, you get to look better than you already do. Second one, you'll get to support the MMA community. And third, I'm going to share all of my picks with you from DFS and betting perspective. So go ahead, click the link in the description below. And it is available internationally as well. So if you want to order it, and I know some of you guys in the chat already have done that, I really appreciate your support, and I wanted to put it out there. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Tajik. Thank you for joining us, the GOAT. The other GOAT of MMA betting is James Lucrative. Tell them where they can find you and anything else that you have going, sir.
Thank you, brother. Thanks, everybody. I've really enjoyed this. It's been good fun, man. We don't always look at these big plus money plays. I try to look at the whole board, but it's good to have a specific show dedicated for it. I want to give a quick shout out to your Dana White's Contender Series shows, because I really think they're really good shows for the community. No one's really focused on Dana White's Contender Series as much as you have. It's always fun. I know you've been cashing lots of money, so shout out to you guys. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it, man. Everybody knows where to find me. Twitter, Lucrative MMA. I have a handicapping service as well if anyone wants to get my official picks. We're making hella money, 120 units this year already, 300 units over the last 24 months. Come join the team. But if not, loads of free content anyway. So just want us to make money. That's the main goal here.
Awesome, James. Thank you for coming on. Please follow this guy. This guy is one of the sharpest MMA handicappers in the business. He is not lying when he's telling you he's up 120% units this year. That is incredible, guys. With that being said, I will also say thank you to him for shouting out my Monday podcast for the Dana White's Contender Series at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. I have and my guests have been killing this Dana White Contender Series card after card. Please join me at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on Monday as we go over the Dana White's Contender Series. I believe it's week number 8 now or 9. I'm not sure. But thank you for that. And also, I do want to say that tomorrow I will be on Brady's show, DFS by the Numbers, on Pub Sports Radio. It's a show called The Best Bet. I will be on tomorrow. I believe it's at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time tomorrow.
That makes two of us.
Oh, nice. So Clint's going to be on there too. So thank you very much again to everybody in chat. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you to my 3 guests. And have a great night. I hope you all cash your Lambo plays tomorrow.